Hey, everybody. This is Jamie at FromHisPresence.com. And I just wanted to teach for a few minutes today on understanding dreams and visions. This has been a really popular topic lately, both in the comments in our blog and among prophetic voices everywhere. I'm just seeing a lot of conversation about dreams and visions. And later this week, I'll actually be releasing some additional MP3 teachings. I have a 10-part series on dreams and visions and how to understand all the different elements that I recorded a while back, and I've been working on editing them ever since, but I'm slow at it. So anyway, I'll be releasing some of those later this week, but working up to that, just wanted to release some additional teaching here and help you understand your dreams, because people are dreaming. You know, in Joel 2, it says that Holy Spirit is going to be poured out on us in the last days, and that the old men are going to dream dreams, and the young men are going to see visions, and the Holy Spirit will be poured out even on the manservants and the maidservants. In other words, on everybody. So we need to learn how to understand when God speaks, okay? So today, I just want to teach briefly on 10 elements that are real important in dreams and visions, 10 things that I would recommend if you have a dream that you need to write these things down, okay? So when you wake up, you've just had a dream, and you're like, oh my goodness, that was a dream. Maybe it was from the Lord. Here are some things that you need to keep in mind, that these are important elements in your dream that you need to go ahead and write down in your journal, because as you write them, a lot of the time the Holy Spirit will give you the interpretation, okay? But don't forget these 10 elements. They're very important. So here we go, okay? Number one is give your dream a title, and this will just bubble up out of your spirit. You'll just know it. And basically think of it this way. If your dream or your vision, whichever, were a movie, what would you call it? Okay. Now that title is important because it is going to help you identify the focus of the dream. If you don't put that title on there, then you might get distracted and go off chasing a squirrel in one little scene of the dream, when actually the Lord is trying to get you to see the main plot of the dream. Okay. So write down a title. If this were a movie, or if you're not a movie watcher, hey, if this dream were a book, what would you call it? Okay. And then next, remember to write down if this dream was in color or in black and white. The reason that's important is because dreams that are in color are more likely to be from the Lord, whereas dreams that are in black and white, or that are very shadowy, where there's not any color or light or brightness, but everything is just, you know, like you're walking through a misty forest and it's just dismal and dark. Those kinds of dreams, those black and white or shadowy dreams, are more likely to be from your soul. In other words, your mind, your will, your emotions, okay? They're more likely to be the outflow of pain. They're more likely to be the outflow of issues in your mind or your emotions that haven't been healed yet, or that haven't been submitted to the Lord yet. Whereas a dream that is from the Lord is usually, I'm not going to say every time, but usually, a dream from the Holy Spirit is going to be just filled with color, okay? Lots and lots of color. Remember that God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. And when light, if you've ever seen this, when light hits a clear prism, it just blasts out the other side into color, all the colors of the rainbow, right? And that's because light is made up of color. So when Holy Spirit speaks, it's only natural for it to just be a blaze and a wash of color, okay? So keep that in mind, to always write that down. Was the dream in color or in black and white? It'll help you figure out what the meaning is to you, okay? Now, third, all the colors that you see in the dream that you remember, write down those colors. For example, if you're driving a red truck, if you are climbing a purple tree, if you are living in a pink house, whatever those colors might be, if you notice them, write them down, okay? Because all those colors individually have different meanings. The Bible is filled with descriptions of colors. And when we read those Bible verses, for example, in the description of the tabernacle, that God gave the pattern to Moses in the wilderness. He told Moses, I want you to make this thing blue, and this thing gold, and this thing purple, and this thing red. You know, it all had meaning. So when you recognize a specific color in a dream, write that down. And in the MP3s that I'll be releasing, I'll have teachings on what do all the individual colors mean, how to decipher those, how to combine those when something is part of one color and part of another, and so on. Okay, so next, numbers. Numbers are so important because the Bible is filled with numbers. God speaks a lot of the time using numbers. Okay, so we know that certain numbers mean certain things. Number 5 in the Bible is the number of grace. 7 is the number of perfection. 6 is the number of man. We could go on and on with all sorts of different numbers. But when you see, for example, 153, 153, what does that mean? Well, did you know that in one of the stories in the Gospels, the disciples pulled 153 fish out of the water? Now, you'll have to read that story to get the meaning. I'm not going to give it away to you now. It's also in my teachings that I'll release later this week. But pay attention to numbers, okay? God is very orderly. And whenever he speaks in numbers, those numbers mean something. So if you are walking in your dream along a street and you have 18 elephants with you in that dream, and you just know there are 18 of them, write it down, okay? Next, when something is on your left side versus your right side, okay? This is important because your right side generally speaks, I'll give this little clue away, your right side speaks of the things that you have strength for now, or the things that you have strength and faith to believe and contend for now. The left side generally means, now I'm pointing to my left, but your camera is probably reversed. But anyway, the left side generally means those things that are still out there in your destiny for which you're created. In other words, they haven't come to you yet, but you know they're there, or maybe you don't even know. It could be the things God is showing you. God could be showing you, for example, in a dream, maybe you have a dream of a treasure chest and you're holding it in your left hand and it's filled with diamonds and gold and coins and amazing, beautiful things. Maybe God is showing you that this is the destiny for which you're created. You're not experiencing it now. You don't have it in your right hand, but it's out there. Okay, that could be a meaning of left versus right. But left versus right always is important. It has to do with what you have now versus what you are intended and destined to have in the future. Okay, next, body parts. Body parts are so important, not only because for day to day we have to have a body, but also because in the Bible we have different meanings of body parts. Okay, here is just a simple example. Did you know that your thigh represents covenant? In Genesis 24, 1 through 4 and 9, those are the verses 1 through 4 and 9 of chapter 24, Abraham said to his servant, he said, "Put your hand under my thigh and swear to me." And when he did that, he was asking the servant to go and find a bride for Isaac, okay? And that servant made a covenant with Abraham by putting his hand under his thigh. The thigh represents covenant. Now, who would think that? But if you have a dream and you're walking around because you have like a pulled muscle in your thigh in your dream, but not in real life, just in your dream, and there's something wrong with your thigh, maybe there's something wrong with a covenant in your life. Or if God touches you in your thigh in your dream, you have a dream, some amazing thing happens, like an angel appears to you or Jesus appears and touches your thigh. That has to do with covenant, okay? And these things can happen in dreams. God speaks in dreams. He appears to us in dreams. He appears in other ways too. He speaks in other ways too. But this is one of the very most important ways that we see in the Bible. The Bible is just filled with dreams and visions. I mean, think about the whole book of Revelation, right? The whole thing is just one big vision, okay? So body parts, write those down. If you have, in your hand, in your right hand in your dream, you're holding something, write down that it was in your right hand. Or if you're walking along and on your right side or your left side, something important happens, write that down. Next, names. When you are in a dream and there is a name of somebody that you recognize, it's not always even going to be a person you really know. But names have meanings, and sometimes other people in dreams actually represent themselves, but very often they actually represent the meaning of the name, okay? Now, this especially happens with people who you look up to. For example, maybe your pastor or a father figure in your life. A lot of the time, the dream has nothing to do with that person, but actually the position in your life, sometimes they can represent God, okay? So for example, if you just really look up to your pastor, as I know that I do, and that pastor is just really ministering to you, and you have a dream and this pastor gives you something, excuse me, Well, a lot of the time, that doesn't have anything to do with your actual pastor. So don't expect your pastor to be like, well, in the dream, you gave me $1 million. So you're supposed to give me $1 million. No, no, no. This is a representation of the relationship, and often it will be a symbol for God himself. Okay. But even in other kinds of relationships, if you have a dream and someone's kid that is in this dream, and you don't know this child, you don't really know this person, but you know the child's name. A lot of the times the meaning will actually be related to the name. The person is in your dream specifically to convey the meaning of their name. Okay, so that's important. Write it down. Next, relationships. As I just mentioned, relationships often are symbolic in dreams. So if you have a dream about your mother, about your aunt, about your sister or whatever, your dad, whoever, a lot of the time that relationship is symbolic. It has nothing to do with the actual person you know in real life, but it is simply a representation of a sort of relationship that Father is trying to talk to you about. Okay, so write down relationships. If you see someone in your dream that you know very well, like your mother, or if you see someone in your dream that you don't know, write those things down. Next, did you see a character's face or not? Now, if you see a face, it might have one meaning, but if a face is obscured, but the person is there, but you never did see the face, that has a different meaning. Sometimes that is actually an angel. Sometimes that is actually an angel appearing in your dream. Okay, when you have someone that's over here and you know they're always there, but you never see their face, that can be an actual angel in your dream. Okay, so that's very cool. Next, is the house or place you saw in the dream the same as it is in real life? Okay, for example, if you have a dream about your current house, okay, but you walk out your front door and you look at this house, and the outside of your house doesn't look like your house at all. Let's say you have a small, modest home, and on the inside in your dream, it looks like that. But on the outside, when you walk outside in your dream, you look at your home, and on the inside, you think it's yours. But on the outside, it's this amazing mansion. And it has all these doors and gables and windows and decorations and things. And it's huge. And it doesn't look anything like your house. That's important. Okay. Or if you're in a church, but it's not the church that you currently go to, or if you're in an office, but it's not the office you work in, these kinds of things matter in dreams, okay? So those are 10 things. That was all 10 of them. Number one, what would the title be? Black and white versus color. Any specific colors you see in the dream. Numbers, left versus right sides. Body parts, names, relationships, whether you saw the face or not, and is the house or place you saw in the dream the same as in real life? And if not, you can write down also, how is it different? Okay, so those are 10 elements that God often will use in dreams to communicate the meaning of the dream. And of course, dream interpretations always come from the Holy Spirit. Okay, He is the giver of dreams and the interpreter thereof. Dream interpretations belong to the Lord. Okay, we know that from Joseph in the Bible. And we know that from Daniel also, all these people that relied on the Holy Spirit for their interpretations. But God will speak to you about your dreams and your visions. And and the more that you're faithful with your dreams and visions to write them down, to study into them so you know what He's saying, you don't miss His messages, the more He will give you, the more dreams and visions He will give you, and the more He will talk to you in those dreams and visions. Okay? So that's 10 things. And check back again more this week on FromHisPresence.com/blog. And we'll be teaching more on dreams and visions. Hope this was helpful to you. Thanks for watching and have a super day. And bye-bye.